Hey, folks, we're back for part two with Marine Sergeant Jacob Delagarza out of Edinburgh, Texas. Once again, this is brought to you by the G2 Ranch, Pearsall, Texas. Can't thank Don and Sandy Gilchrist enough down there. Fine crew. If you've never been to the G2, you really got to go to experience it. And we're going to be talking with Jacob about his experience with the G2 very soon. But we're going to jump back into him and his wife and kids. So you're back in San Diego, recovering from losing your leg. Your wife's there. Do you have kids at this point?
Yeah, actually, my son was 6 years old, and my daughter was 1 year old there at that time.
So your son, obviously, at 6 years, he may still have memories of you in the hospital and stuff, or
Yeah, still does.
what does he think about that?
Honestly, I'm guessing still glad I'm alive, but he's seen how much I've, the process of, from what I was to I am now, like active wise. So, I guess he's happy that I'm still able to do what I did before, pretty much.
Good.
Very active guy. So
Now, your daughter being 1 year old, she probably doesn't have a lot of.
no, not much memories. But I mean, I still have contacts with most of the guys there. So, she still sees how they were, and their process also. And I said she didn't really remember much, but
Because it's different, the kids that go through this, they go to school. I mean, how many friends of theirs dad lost a leg in Afghanistan? So they become somewhat unique. Did you ever see in your kids that there was ever any emotion, any sorrow that, wow, my dad had to this happened to my dad? Or was it more of, my dad's a badass,
I don't think for my daughter, she's kind of a funny one. So she just tells them I got bit by a shark. So
which is plausible down there. You're not far from the coast.
I'm not the cool badass for my kids. I'm just their dad.
Well, they've grown up with you, having lost a leg, and you serve as a great inspiration, of not giving up, and we'll talk a lot about that coming up here in the near future. So how long were you in the hospital?
About a year and a half, I was in the hospital. They said once got amputated, there is straight. Once it happens, they start working on you, trying to get you up, trying to walk and be active again, which is awesome. My physical therapist, Fran, she was on you. She's an older lady, but she'll be on you, doing crunches and trying to make you walk. I mean, within 6 months, I was already walking good and starting to jog already after the amputation.
6 months.
Yeah.
So when do you actually get the prosthetic? I mean, because there's a lot of trauma going on. They've cut off part of your leg. They've had to re-sew it. That's not the proper terms, but they sew you back up. And so, how fast do they get a prosthetic on you?
Depending, how you heal, because I said yesterday about infections and stuff like that. Everybody's different, but my healing process was pretty fast. So once you don't feel as much pain, I guess you could say, they start casting you, and so it's like a temporary cast to see how you do with it, and it's pretty much you gotta learn how to walk all over again. It's a different feel than a regular leg.
Right.
So once they cast you and you're walking all right, they start training you with the bars so you don't fall and stuff like that, and you just go from there depending how good you feel.
And your family's being supportive through all of this. What did that mean to you to have that family support? You know,
I mean, very happy. Yeah, especially unfortunately for other amputees like that are married. That we were talking about this yesterday. That when something dramatic like this happens, families fall apart and you get divorces and stuff like that.
I mean, this very thing right there. I mean, that puts a huge strain on any relationship, but a marriage, we do see that marriages suffer
Definitely.
as a result, and I love when I see it. And I've talked to several guys that, like TJ. We've talked about TJ. His wife was there, and they have such an awesome family. And that family support. It's awesome to have, but it's also sad when you see those guys that don't have it.
Yeah, that's correct. And us that I saw TJ do a lot is kind of push them. Like we're brothers, so push them like we're family, and because if you don't, you just feel bad for yourself. You're just gonna spiral down. You gotta push each other and keep going and stay positive. So.
Yeah, I talked to one young veteran. It's been several years now, and he said, asked him about his family, and he didn't really want to say much, but he said, yeah, well, my dad flew out. He was at BAMC, and he said, my dad flew out. He stayed a couple of days and said, well, good luck, and left. And then you could see the hurt in his eyes, because you're going to have those guys there that don't have that support, but then they turn and look at you, and you've got all this support.
Yeah.
And that's got to be hard on those guys.
I'm sure, yeah.
And we wonder why we have a suicide rate that's so high. But, you've got your family by you. You're jogging within 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So all right, you're at some point I guess they medically discharge you.
Yeah. Once you're good to go, and it's pretty much up to you. You get like I was already, like I told you, about a year and a half I was already running, and if you're able to do first class PFT in the military, you could still stay in and keep pushing. Do another whatever you want, 4 years, or keep it as a career. But at the time, for me, I wasn't at the level I wanted to be, physically wise. So I decided to retire. So 2013 of January was when I retired.
So you were in 10 years?
Yeah, 10 years, just short of 10.
Now, had you planned on staying longer?
I wanted to, yeah. Yeah, if I still had my both legs, I definitely would have probably made a career out of it. Yeah, 'cause already halfway there.
Yeah. Yeah, you're halfway there. No kidding. I mean, so you had every intentions of being in the Marines or what point did you decide that? Was it when you joined, I'm in this for a career, or was it after you were in and you said, I'm in this for a career?
Yeah, I think most people, you gotta feel for it, see how it is.
Right.
But I mean, the thing is, like, if you do 4 years, you're already probably an NCO, so like it just gets easier. So, I mean, most of the time is I might as well stay. I already went through the hardest parts.
Right.
So at me, I already at 8 years is, I mean, it just gets easier for me. So might as well just do the 20 or more.
Yeah. Well, so you retire. And do you move right back to Texas, right back to Edinburgh, or?
Yeah, actually, once I retired in January, I had already days, that I could use. So I actually came to Texas in December before I retired. Used my day leaves. So yeah, I moved down in December, and yeah. here in Edinburgh.
So what was it like coming home? You talk about Edinburgh being so patriotic, and I admire that in these cities that are. What was that like for you coming home, seeing people, and now seeing you've got a prosthetic, you got wounded, you got blown up in Afghanistan. What was it like coming home? Was it any different? How did people treat you? Was there anything? Did you get a hero's welcome? Did you?
No hero's welcome. No, but yeah, like I said, it's very patriotic there, and they always come up and say, at least thank you for your service and stuff like that, and also, Edinburgh's not that big, so I know a lot of people, and
right.
A lot of people know me, so yeah, always happy to see them.
Well, that's incredible. So now your kids are somewhat grown. You said your son is now at Texas. Is he at Texas A&M, or where's he at?
College Station, Texas A&M.
And he's studying at, that's a great college, Gig'em Aggies. My dad graduated from there in 1950.
Oh wow!
So a lot different school back then. But so what's he studying?
Be a pharmacist.
Be a pharmacist. Okay.
Yeah. So this will be his second year there at A&M. I don't know where he got the smarts from. Not from me.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was able to do that program where you get your associate's degree before even your high school diploma.
That's pretty cool. We were talking about that last night. That's stuff they didn't have back in my time. Not that I would have taken part in it, because I didn't shine in school very well. But, it's impressive. Texas A&M is a tough school to get into to begin with. It's a good school. So your daughter, the one that likes to say you got your leg bit off by a shark.
Yeah.
You were, it was amazing talking to you last night, and it's like any parent, I could see the pride in your eyes and the way, and you really talked about your daughter, and she's a freshman this year. What school is she at?
Edinburgh High School, also Bobcat.
Yeah. Where you?
That's where.
That's pretty cool. Kids went to the same school, and that's pretty cool. But you said that she's a freshman and she's going to be possibly starting on the varsity?
Possibly, yeah.
Basketball.
Yeah, basketball.
So you come back, you're a parent, you're a veteran, you're a Purple Heart veteran, you got 2 Purple Hearts, you lost your leg up to your knee. So as a parent, a father, a veteran, are you fully retired? Are you devoting your time to your kids? Are you working? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just devoting my time to my kids right now. Well, now it's just one kid, but just her. She keeps us busy. Yep. Like in the summer, she's has to be at school at 5:40 in the morning. So we're up by 5 and take her to practice, pick her up, then she has practice again, and then she's on the travel team, like I told you, basketball outside of school. So she also has that practice at 7:30 at night to 9. So that's almost every day, just practice.
Well, as we saw in your service, training paid off. My point where I was going to go with this, and people are thinking right now, like, Sweeney, what was that all about? But anyways, my point is, we see you basically became just a parent. And I don't mean that in a bad way. You're devoting your time to your family, okay? There's many guys out there that they don't understand the importance of that. If they can't go out and work and earn money, I know you've got your military pension. You've got that stuff coming to you. I get that. But there's it's just a male ego in a lot of people that, I got to be the breadwinner. I got to produce. And when they can't, and I'm not saying you can't work, but you made a conscious decision to devote your time to your family. And there's there's guys out there that I hope will hear this, that's honorable. That is in my opinion, that's better than going out and having a job and making a ton of money, because your family supported you, albeit your kids were young, and your wife did the most support, because when you get married and you're in the military, the family serves. Yeah, they're not over there with you, grabbing the doc and throwing him over and keeping him from dying. They're not kicking doors in. That's not what I mean. It's when they serve, they give up a portion of their life. There's always in the back of their head, and I bet if your wife was sitting here, she would acknowledge, when's that knock at the door or that telephone call? Because that's reality. Yeah. That's war. That's reality, and you basically, well, she didn't quite sign up for it. You did, but the families are there to support you, and they go through a lot of different stresses, and they're away from their families, and so they serve. And I talk from experience because my mom raising 5 kids, while Dad was off, whether it was Korea, Vietnam, the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, there's a number of things Dad was gone from, whether he was at some type of education, officers education training or anything like that. I mean, he was gone a lot. And so the family has to do their own thing sometimes, but they serve right along with you. And so getting back to the point, there's a lot of guys that feel less than adequate because they don't quite understand what it means. Your wife took care of the family, and then we see this in a lot of families, and there's my mom was lucky enough, she was a stay-at-home mom, and
which is a job itself.
It's a job, absolutely. Yeah. Now, they're not writing you a check per se, but it's a job, and that's where I was going with this. It is a job, so
they don't get enough credit, that's for sure.
No, they don't. So what would your advice be to any guy out there that maybe is in the same position? What does it mean to take care of your family?
Like to me, talking from me, everybody has their perspective of what they want to be and how much they make and stuff like that. But for me, family is real important, especially since I didn't have a father growing up. I want to be their father, as they grew up. So that's why I chose just to stay home. I know I'm not going to be rich or anything like that, but that's not important to me right now. Right now it's just taking care of my family. As long as I got a roof over my head, we have food, we have enough money for the main stuff, and I'm able to take care of my family. That's what's important to me.
And it has to be the most important thing. And any of you guys out there that are not looking at it that way, you really need to reevaluate. Family is first. Family is very important. It's not just about having that big paying job. It's take care of the family. Because I know there's some guys that really struggle with holding down a job. Let's just say mainly because of PTSD, but there's other reasons. Especially if they've lost a limb or something, they don't feel like they can do what others do. But then I look at some people, like Jorge Seguria lost an arm, and he's already gone through culinary school, and he's working on his bachelor's for restaurant management, I believe. I don't know the exact name of it, but we had him on a hunt at Champion Ranch, and you can't be limited, but taking care of the family is one of the most honorable jobs you can have, and my hats are off to you. You're raising your kids right. You see that they've got the same. You may not say they got their brains from somewhere else, not you, but their work ethic. I mean, it's obvious in what you've told us today. Your work ethic they've definitely got that from you. So you're obviously very proud of your daughter. and that could take her places, couldn't it?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, her goal is to play, college ball too. So we'll see. Hopefully, she does well.
Well, it sounds like she's well on her way. I mean, if she's got a shot at starting varsity as a freshman, that's impressive.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, it's your kids. From what I've heard, I can tell you're very proud of them. And your wife, what's your wife doing?
Right now, she's also stay-at-home mom right now.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And, same thing. We try to do everything for our kids right now, and she had to put her life to the side when I joined the military, because she was already started college and stuff like that, and well, once I joined the military, she had to focus, on me, so she stopped going to college and stuff like that, so I could stay in the military and do my stuff. So, yeah.
Well, you can always
I'm
go
a lucky
back.
guy.
Well, you are. I tell you what, and we're lucky to have you here. So you're retired. You're taking care of your family. You're being a great dad, and we mentioned earlier, you and I off camera were talking, and I remember, and I kept saying, where did I meet Jacob? Where did I meet Jacob? Now, obviously, we were on a hunt together, but it was like, where did I meet Jacob? And we realized it was at an event. And what was the name of the organization that was giving away the homes?
Operation Finally Home.
Operation Finally Home. Now, they gave you home.
They sure did. Yeah.
And that is awesome. I tell you what, there's several organizations that do that, but Operation Finally Home does a great job. Look them up on the internet. They do a great job, and they really, it changes. I mean, what was it for you? I mean, you came back, and then to have an organization give you a home.
Yeah, I mean, obviously shocked. I actually found out through the VA. My VA rep was like, "There's an organization. They're looking to, give out a house. Why don't you fill out the application?" So I did, and then got a phone call, said I was a possible one to get picked. So I had to send in my bio and all that stuff, and I got a phone call, and they're like, they tricked me. They're like, oh, the builders want to meet, where you're one of the top 5, so they want to meet each 5 of y'all. It was 4 or 5, and but go in your dress blues. They want to see, your medals and stuff like that. And I was like, okay. So I, put on. They said, we'll meet up at Starbucks. So I was like, okay. So we went to Starbucks, and there was a representative from HEB there, Linda, and then one of the wives that got a house prior to her husband her and her husband, and they're like, okay, we're gonna go meet the builders now. So we got into a vehicle, and they took us to where my house is at now, and I knew something was wrong, because before we on the main road, like, we got escorted by cops. So these 2 cops just pull up, the motorcycle cops, and I'm like, okay. And then you see like flags, from the fire department and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay. And we turn in, and then there's just all these people lined up with flags, and greeted, like welcome home type of deal. And yeah, we pulled up, and at the time is just the lot. The house ain't there yet, but they had it cordoned off, and they're like, okay, yeah, your recipient is gonna, where your house is gonna be built at, and stuff like that. So yeah, I got tricked.
How'd that feel? Yeah. I mean it and I've been to a couple of those, and you're right. I mean, they've got the great big flag. Usually the fire department has their big boom up, and the flag is hanging there, and people are along the streets, and they're cheering. Oh, yeah. And it's like, I mean, what does that do for you?
your heart starts pumping. But I mean, it's kind of, to me, it's exciting that there's people out there like that, that support the military. And I mean, it's a great feeling that there's a lot of people out there that still love our country.
There are a lot of people out there that still love our country, and anytime that we can show our appreciation, and we at Headwaters for Heroes, we show it a different way, but we'll get to that also. So you and I actually met at another event, but it was the same thing. It was giving a home to Miguel. Can't remember his name. Seminole. Okay.
Yeah.
And Joey Holland with Verturo Interest, who was instrumental in building the home. Headwaters for Heroes actually put some money in on that one to help get things rolling. And that's where we actually met each other.
Yep.
And it was more of in passing. It really wasn't a, how are you, and sit down and let's talk. It was more in passing. But I kept, last night I kept saying, I've been out with Jacob before on a hunt. And it's like, where did I really meet him? And we still, and you said that you're going to get with Miguel. Let Miguel know we still want to take him on a hunt. That was one of the deals when we met that day. We were going to do a hunt, and so we're still interested in doing
I'll
that.
let him know.
Let him know and get him. We need to get his information and get him on the list, and let's get him out. So you've got your home, and then how did you learn about Headwaters for Heroes?
Through TJ. Yeah, TJ's the one that told me about you.
Yeah, everybody knows TJ. I tell you what, it was a 3-part session, if I'm not mistaken. Incredible story, TJ, and TJ's such a great guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
he is.
if you don't like TJ, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
I mean, he is so inspirational to so many. Another great story, and if you haven't listened to that session, go look it up on YouTube because it was a good one. So we took you to the G2 Ranch.
Correct.
Now, that was a different experience.
Yeah. I mean, the land is beautiful. The main area there is awesome. Get to fish, golf out there.
Yeah.
So much stuff. Feed giraffes.
Yeah, I mean, you people that haven't been to G2 or don't know of G2 Ranch, it's G2 Ranch, Texas, I believe is the website. I'm not 100% certain, but it's in Pearsall, Texas, and they have some incredible. It is a hunting operation, so don't be shocked for those of you that don't care for hunting. It is a hunting operation, but the lodge is incredible. It is 5-star. The food is incredible. The staff, I tell you what, I worked for Don Gilchrist before he sold his company, Door Control Services, and that was one thing that he really hammered home to everybody was customer service. And I tell you what, at that lodge, that's what you've got. Oh, yeah. I mean, it is excellent customer service, and they do such a phenomenal job. But you're right. I mean, they got that lake that's stocked with bass, and it's some special bass, some hybrid bass that's very aggressive. So you basically hits the water, they're going after it. So it makes for a fun time, especially when there's kids there. It makes for a fun time. And then you've got the Top Golf. It's not Top Golf, like what you see around the country, but it's fashioned after that. You've got that upper stage, I guess you'd call it, and you're knocking balls out there, and they've even got some targets out in the water, and and so it is pretty cool. And then they got the BB gun arcade, and it is a very relaxing place, and the guides just are incredible. But let's talk about. People want to hear your experience. What does it mean to you to have the opportunity to go to such a place, and you harvested a pretty nice whitetail? And what did it mean to you? I mean, you've been given a house, so that's got to be somewhat overwhelming.
Sure is.
And then people continue to give. So what, for you, what does that mean to you? I mean, you've suffered for our country. You may not look at it that way, but you've sacrificed for our country, and now these people want to give back to you. What does that mean to you, and what can you say about that?
Yeah, what can I say? It's, like I said, it's awesome to see these people care so much about you, even though they don't really know you. They know you just from what they hear, like podcasts or newspapers, stuff like that. So, but just off that, it's weird how they care so much about you.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's just incredible how it's, especially Texas has a lot of people like that just really just want to help out, especially vets, and it's just awesome to see these people want to help us. And it's kind of hard for me, because like for me, I'm no one special, just a Marine, that did some stuff that, when I had to, and just a regular grunt, So it's
you're very humble, and I admire that. You're very, very humble, and I admire that. Do you remember who your guide was?
Yeah, it was Mark Barth.
Mark Barth.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Mark is, I'll tell you what, incredible guy, great friend of Headwaters for Heroes. Mark, if you're listening, thank you for what you did for Jacob. It was a time of his life. But yeah, Mark Barth does a lot. And
thank you, Mark.
He's one of the best. He's still down at the G2.
Okay.
With guides they move, but Mark does a lot of other stuff, and he's tried several times to come guide for us, but it hasn't worked out with his schedule guiding at the G2. But Mark is an incredible. But all the staff down there,
he gets all excited. Well,
yeah,
you got all these animals. It's not just like one deer. There's a bunch there, and he's like, "Which one you want? You want that one?" And I'm like, first one you pick out, I'll shoot. I don't care. And yeah, he was just under 200, I think, the one I shot.
Yep.
Big book.
He was a little bit deformed here. Can you imagine what he would have scored if he was full on that one side?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. He was a because I want to say he went like 180 something.
189. I think.
189. There was some controversy whether he was in the 190s or because he looked like a cactus. He had so many. So many.
Yeah, that's what I liked about him, because it was Mark's like, you want that one, and then or this one, and the other one he pointed out was like he was symmetrical, but I wanted a crazy looking one,
That you got.
You don't see, yeah. So I shot that one.
That you got. You got the crazy looking one. So, yeah. Now it's we don't get to spend a lot of time at any of the ranches we go to. Obviously, they're trying to earn their living, and we can't thank them enough for bringing in. Allowing Headwaters for Heroes to bring in our veterans and our Gold Star kids to hunt and get that experience. And they've got a great facility. We love going down there. And like I said, they're just great giving people. I remember the story when I interviewed with Don Gilchrist to join his company. And I told him what I was doing with Headwaters for Heroes. And he said, well, if you ever need time off to take care of our veterans, you don't have to ask, you just do it. And I was so impressed with that. Now, the sales manager was not impressed with that. He didn't like that idea. But I was so impressed that Don and Sandy have had such a big heart for our veterans. And it shows when you go there. They really appreciate having our veterans there, and they appreciate doing for them. And so where are we going in the future, Jacob? We've hunted at G2, and then we haven't, that was back in 21.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are in 24. What does Jacob want to do?
Anything. I'm down to shoot whatever. Shoot some whatever. Deer, hogs, rabbits.
We'll have to figure out where we'll have to figure out where we're going to take you. We'll get you out on something here in the future. You know, it's great. You know, we wish we could take you guys hunting every year, but there's so many Purple Heart veterans that we serve, and it typically cycles around about every 3 years. We take people out.
And that's a good thing. I want everybody else to experience this also. I mean, I love hunting and stuff, but I don't want to be like, I want to go on all these hunts because, I'm taking somebody else's spot that hasn't gone. So
yeah.
And they need to experience this, out there. And
well, what do you, we haven't mentioned, you went hunting with Headwaters for Heroes, and for the folks out there that may be tuning in for the first time, Headwaters for Heroes, we take our Purple Heart veterans, or what's commonly called combat wounded veterans, and Gold Star kids hunting and fishing at no cost to them. So, what has been your experience with Headwaters for Heroes? I mean, we don't bug you, but
no, and that's what's cool about it is you always leave it to us. Do you want to do this? You want to even like this podcast? You like say what you want to say. If you don't, it's cool. There's no like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that. You're relaxed and just be you, pretty much. And just getting with this organization is just when you go out on these hunts, it's usually another vet. So you meet other people, and you usually stay friends after that. After say you get together that one hunt, and then you trade phone numbers, and sometimes they're nearby you. You could hang out.
Right.
And so it's fun. You get to meet other guys that have probably, for me, last time it was an amputee also. You meet other amputees, and not only just talk about hunts and stuff, just also even just which later we'll talk about, like helping out with PTSD and stuff like that, or for us also is just what do you use for like shaving on your leg, and we ask each other questions, stuff like that. Also that helps out on day-to-day stuff. So you meet friends.
Was the other veteran on your G2 hunt?
That one was an Army guy. I think
is it Greg? Greg Dotson.
Yeah, I think it was him.
Yeah. I think it was Greg Dotson. Greg's he was a medic, and he's a great guy.
Okay. Yeah, but usually when they live far away, it's through Facebook, but you always keep in touch, no matter what. And I mean, if sometimes you call each other just to see how they're doing, and it's like if you just saw them yesterday,
Yeah.
you start talking to each other like.
Well, it's you mentioned a while ago that y'all sat and talked about of all things how to shave that part of your leg, what works best for it. But the whole purpose of what we do at Headwaters for Heroes is put you guys together, because it's easier for you to share with someone when you've experienced the same thing. Now, maybe the injuries aren't exactly the same, but you've experienced the battle, you've experienced the recovery, you've experienced all those same things, and so it's easier. And even from a standpoint of PTSD, someone that's been there and understands, it's easier to open up to.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
We found that out early on, that was really what drove the mission in starting Headwaters for Heroes, was seeing what it did when veterans came together. Because just like you didn't know Greg before that hunt, but now y'all stay in touch. Now maybe you're not best friends, but you stay in touch.
Yeah.
And what we found was, between these guys, when they would come together, they may not know each other, but they become fast friends. And it has to do with, okay, some people out there are not comfortable with talking about what they've been through, because, and let's face it, we've got a society that is so divided right now. Something said in the wrong group, you're looked down upon, you're shunned upon, you're a baby killer, you're this, you're that. So there's that comfort zone when you're going into something. Okay, this guy's experienced battle, this guy's been wounded, this guy's had to recover, this guy's struggled. I can talk to him.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do. And your experience just proves that. You're talking about shaving legs.
Yeah, well, it, you know, if you stay active and you shave your legs, or you get problems with your legs and stuff like that, and um, you know, you try to figure out what helps you out when you're active, because once you start getting like boils and stuff, and then well, you kind of got to stop, active wise, and sometimes being crutches and stuff like that. So try to avoid that. Try to see what else is out there and ask questions.
Well, and it's not just that type of questions. We see guys that they help each other with VA
Yeah.
questions. They help each other with medicine questions. I'm probably overcritical of the VA because I think in a lot of cases when it comes to PTSD, they're just throwing drugs at them. Take this, take this. You don't necessarily see the same doctor all the time, and the second doctor will go, "Well, what the hell was that first one thinking?" No, get off that and get on this. And it's got to be hard mentally, physically, for the people. And I've seen that at some of these deals where guys will talk, and it's like, "Oh man, don't let them give you that." If they try to give you that, you fight it. Your experience with the VA, how's it been down there?
Actually, for me, it's been pretty good. They're like coming anything dealing with my prosthetic, they're on top of it. So I haven't had any issues, but I know some people do. But I think what helps me, and I think me and Miguel are the only ones that I know that are like active amputees.
Mm-hmm.
So the rest are older gentlemen that so they just ask for little stuff, and the guys that work on our legs or prosthesis, they're excited to work on us because we're the only ones that go. So I mean, whatever at least for me, I know whatever I need, they're on top of it. Leg wise, I know stuff takes longer when you're a walk-in, but it's gotten better. Yeah. Well, at least from my experience.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear a positive experience. I hear too many negative experiences about the VA, and some of them with prosthetics that have, complained about the service they get.
Mm-hmm.
But the experience. Okay, you've wearing a prosthetic, and I know there's a lot of people going, "Why are you going to talk about prosthetics?" But you talked about boils and blisters and things like that, and how often is that you have to deal with that kind of stuff?
Um, it happens every like couple months. Also, as I said, depending how active you are, like me, I love running. So when I can, I run, and just since a lot of sweat accumulates in there, you gotta really protect it and clean it out. So like for me, every mile and a half, I'll stop, take it out, clean all the sweat off,
Pour the water out of it.
Yeah, pour it out, and I always run with my day pack,
Mm-hmm.
Camelback, and I'll just carry extras in there, and I'll just swap out the liner, so I won't keep my sweaty one on.
Yeah.
So that's how I.
Because we had one veteran where he was single amputee, much like your injury, and went on a hunt, and then he had sores, but he didn't want to turn the hunt down. He didn't want to back out, but he ended up not having a successful hunt because it was in Missouri, and it was more stalk. I mean, it wasn't out of like Texas, we do blinds,
Yeah.
and he just had a hard time, and it wasn't just flat. I mean, so it ended up ruining his hunt.
Yeah, well, I say it all depends. You fluctuate. Sometimes you're good. Having a prosthetic, you're gonna have your bad days and you have your good days. So, like right now, my prosthetic's good, but I messed up my knee, so it's been swollen for months. I was telling you yesterday, but I did that to myself running. I was running on a dirt road and I hit a pothole, and my prosthetic running leg hit it at a certain angle where it bounced back into my leg, and
Ow.
that's what messed up my kneecap. But yeah, like I said, you're gonna have, for him it's probably a bad day,
Yeah.
or a bad week. Yeah, you just gotta be real careful.
Well, let's talk about PTSD. What have you or do you still, or I mean, PTSD, has it affected you?
Um, still there's different parts to PTSD. Some people say like just sometimes you just get angry all of a sudden and stuff like that, or your nightmares at night stuff. Um, I get it every once in a while, nothing crazy. And like I was telling you, for me, um, I'm ready to leave this world whenever, so it doesn't phase me. I don't get scared when I have these nightmares and stuff like that, and I mean it's worked for me. I don't know for whoever else, but um, for me it's just knowing when it's your time, and um, it doesn't really bother me. You know.
So, what advice would you give to someone who's struggling with PTSD? I mean, what words of wisdom can you give them that would help them?
Um, well, I'm not gonna say be ready to die. That works for me. But honestly, I think what helps me is just keeping busy. You know, I notice like more when I'm alone and just not doing anything. That's when like stuff comes up. So for me, it's just like keeping busy with my kids, or um, anything simple as to just watching TV instead of just sitting down and think about stuff. Playing games could also help out. You're thinking about the game instead of anything coming back to you. Um, but what helps me is just keeping busy, honestly.
And that's great advice. I mean, and that's you're right. Once you sit around alone, that's when the mind runs rampant.
Yeah.
We've heard of the guys. Suicide is all too prevalent, and we know that it's a lot of it is that, let's say, loneliness in your own mind.
Yeah.
That drives them to it, and the most of them think, well, if I take my life, because a lot of times when PTSD and they're really down, the family life is suffering. Maybe they've already gone through that divorce. Maybe they can't handle any relationships. There's a lot of things going on, and then they decide to take their life, thinking it's going to make everything better for everybody around them, and the reality is it doesn't.
Yeah.
Um,
And families suffer a lot. I've had friends that done it. That are not here no more from suicide, and you just don't know how bad the wife and kids suffer.
yeah.
It's tough, and I know at the time, uh, the vet's not thinking about that, but hopefully the people listening here, realize like, oh yeah, what about my family,
Well,
friends?
and one of the widows that I talked to, she plain simple put it. He may have thought he was fixing the problem, but all he left behind was a big shit show.
Yeah,
Because it gets worse,
it does.
and especially if there's kids involved.
Oh yeah,
Because now kids are questioning, was it because of me? So obviously you've got your brothers. You've talked to it, a couple times about how y'all reach out and y'all touch, talk off and on, and you just mentioned you've lost a couple of your brothers to suicide. What goes through your mind? I mean, it's easy for us to say, well, God, if he'd have just called me, or damn, I should have called him, but you're helpless.
yeah.
I mean, so what do you do?
Honestly, it's hard. Like, like one of them, I was with him the night before. We were talking about life. He had just had a kid, about 2 months ago, before he, did suicide. But yeah, I was with him the night before, where it was all positive, and next day, I don't know what happened. I did deal with alcohol, so yeah.
Well, that's a big problem. A lot of these guys, between the alcohol and the drugs that are being prescribed, it's not good.
Yeah.
And you can preach all you want, but that's a little different when you throw that one at me. It's to have been with someone so close and talking to them, and then the next day.
Yeah, I mean, you think about what, what can you do? I said I was with them. We can't be there 24/7. That's the tough part, main thing is the people hearing is reach out, call somebody when you get these thoughts or think about anything.
Yeah, and we talked about that, but it's very difficult. Veterans don't want to reach out. I don't know if it's that male ego again.
That should be a new trend. Everybody does these trends.
Yeah, you're right. Let's make it a new trend, that everybody reaches out. And, in Headwaters for Heroes, we've received our fair share of phone calls from veterans that they call for no reason. Well, we know what the reason is. And they just want to chat, They don't, and rarely, I mean, it's extremely rare that they go, well, I'm thinking about committing suicide, Steve. Can we talk? No, it's you end up just having a conversation, and damn well what it's about.
Yeah.
They're struggling. And so, I encourage anybody, if you ever get that phone call, you may think it's a no-point conversation, but if that person's calling you,
it's for a reason.
It's for a reason. Yeah. And that's one thing that, a lot of you guys, y'all, and you've talked about it here today, a lot of you guys, y'all do stay in touch. You do reach out. We talked about the families of your friend Larson, and you said you call them and talk to them every year. They're dealing with their own form of PTSD through this. The shock of losing a child, a husband. I don't know if Larson was married.
No, he wasn't married.
So in this case, it's just, they lost their child, and then you're talking to the parents. That call means so much to them. It's a testament to their son that you met in boot camp, and you still call them. Y'all were that close. It's a testament to his character. And so it has to mean so much to them. And I hope they're listening, because they obviously raised a great son that sacrificed for our great nation. But the fact that he had such an impact on your life in that short of time, that you stay in contact. And even the families, they've got to struggle with, why was it my son? And that gets into faith, and we've had conversations on other sessions about faith, and I don't hesitate to talk about it, but they have to struggle with it, and there's nothing like staying in touch, and that's what I would encourage all veterans. Reach out to your brother. You never know when they're in that spot. But more importantly, if you're in that spot, reach out to someone.
Definitely, yeah.
And I know there's some guys out there that think, well, if I do that, I'm just a big old pussy. I'm a wimp. I can't handle it. Man, that's what we're here for. We're here to take care of each other. You talk about your training as a team. This is no different. Yeah. You had their back over there. They had your back. This is no different. They say, I got your 6. It's still going on.
Yeah.
And we're fighting this every day. And I encourage you to keep it up, man. What you're doing is absolutely awesome. And we're coming to the end of this.
Well,
I think we have. What would you like to say?
Just what I was about to say from off that PTSD is also, that's life. Sometimes you're gonna hit rock bottom, and just keep pushing. I think, like, I knew one guy that had thought about it. You know, he was going through a rough time, and he pushed through it. And he's like, now looking back, you know, he's like, I don't even know why I thought about, you know, trying to kill myself. You know, I don't know. You know, so maybe what I'm trying to say is, it's a tough time, but it gets better. You know, no matter what, and stay positive, and life's gonna have your ups and downs. And I know at the time you're not thinking about in the future, but just take it day by day, like I do.
Well, and we're very thankful that you don't have those thoughts, because you know this has been quite an inspiration just listening to you today. And off off camera a while ago, it's like I was telling you, just with the stories you told, that's what you see in a movie, and people don't realize how real that is. And it's incredible, the story you've told. And you know, you've been awarded the Purple Heart Medal twice, deserve probably more, but I think it's one of the things that people need to understand about all of our armed services. I mean, it's Marines have got a reputation for being pretty tough, but you know, your gunnery sergeant put you in for 5 Purple Hearts, and these were injuries that never removed you from the field of battle. You kept going, and the public needs to understand we have been, I'm not so certain right at the moment, but the best fighting machine in the world. You are top trained. We're by far the best in the world, or we were. I'm not, like I said, I'm not confident right at the moment because there's weird crap going on. But, you know, the problem with military that I saw over the years was when the politicians get involved.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's no longer a war. It's a game of, I don't know what game it is. It's stupidity, I guess. You know, especially when these. One thing I never heard you say through this was any talk of rules of engagement. You know, it got to be, from what I've been told by some, well, we can't fire at them unless they shoot at us.
Yeah, it's still like that. Yeah.
I mean, that's, to me, is ludicrous. You know, the military is in the words of Mr. Rush Limbaugh, the late Rush Limbaugh, rest in peace, great man. The military is here to kill and break things. And if we turn them loose, let them do their job, they know the mission, they'll get it done in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
But when the politicians get involved, that's when wars drag out. And then we have debacles like the pullout of Afghanistan, where we lost 13 of our heroes. And that's got to be, that's the other thing. It's really got to be hard on the families that lost loved ones, like the Larson family. Yeah. To see that kind of pullout and that disaster.
I don't even know what to say about that.
I mean, if I was in that position, I can assure you, I'm almost positive I would be a raging lunatic.
Oh yeah.
And the families that we're seeing from the Afghanistan pullout they're raging, they're pissed because nobody's being held accountable.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. I don't know what to say about it, but the families, it's got to hurt them even more. Okay, the Larsons, their son gave his life serving our country. That's what he signed up for. Not to die, but he signed up to serve. And dying is a part that could happen. Y'all know that when you sign up.
Definitely. Yeah.
You sign that blank check of your life. And I admire that. And it's one thing to die in battle. And it's hard for the families. I know it's got to be hard for them. And I'd love to meet the Larsons. And I know it's got to be hard for them to say, well, we lost our son. But now you sit back and they lost their son in vain because of what our government did.
Yeah. I mean,
so you fought over there. You fought in Iraq. You fought in Afghanistan. And now you're seeing what's going on again in all that region. Is that frustrating?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I know even after we pushed through Fallujah, it didn't take them long after we left for them to take it back.
Yeah.
So it's like we did that for nothing.
Yeah. And, we look at what's going on in Gaza and Israel and all the Hamas stuff going on. And Israel's got the right idea. We got to remove them. Now, they also know someone's going to backfill. That's just their culture. Mm-hmm. But if you can get rid of this one bad one, we pretty well had ISIS on the run till now.
Yeah.
And we basically handed Afghanistan back to the Taliban. I was watching a clip where they were saying, I was actually watching it this morning, where they were saying when Trump and them were negotiating with the Taliban for the pullout, that Trump showed the guy a picture, said, if you do anything against the agreement, we will kill you, and showed him a picture of his house. Not Trump's house, the Taliban leader's house. Now, where all this took place, I think they came into the States. I don't know. But it was an interesting story. It's like, and they've taken over again. The country has reverted back. Now, Afghanistan's been a country that many have tried to take over, and it didn't work. Yeah. But there's a lot of animosity there, and that was on one of our sessions, that they always have an animosity to anybody that comes into their country because of the way they've been treated by some of the countries. And Russia was one of the worst, raping women and so on. And it was crazy, some of the stories I've heard. But I go back to our families and how they must feel. And I admire you that you stay in contact. And once again, it says a lot for the character of Larson that, you were touched that much, and that is incredible. And I encourage you to keep touching people.
I'll try.
You've touched us. This has been an incredible session. Ladies and gentlemen, what we do, we can only do it through your generous donations. Yeah, this is the taking the break to pay the bills. We can only do it through your donations, and all of our hunts that we have are donated by ranches like the G2 Ranch. There's many ranches that are donating to us. We take our Purple Heart veterans and our Gold Star kids hunting and fishing year-round, basically, through those donations of these hunts and fishing trips. But we do need to operate. So you can go to our website, headwatersforheroes.com. There's a button there you can click on to do a donation. You can do a monthly donation, reoccurring. You can do a one-time donation. But there's also information. You want to get involved and do more. By all means, we're always looking for help and looking for ways to be better and expand. We're located in Harper, Texas, here in the hill country of Texas, kind of between, if you don't know where Harper is, between Fredericksburg and Kerrville. Most everybody knows where Fredericksburg is. Big tourist town. But we survive at your generosity. So by all means, check out our Facebook page, Headwaters for Heroes. Go to our website, headwatersforheroes.com. Check out what we're doing. By all means, donate. Once again, I want to thank the G2 Ranch for sponsoring this session. I want to thank Marine Sergeant Jacob Delagarza. Man, this has been good. I've learned a lot. I'm impressed. I'm in awe. I'm very humbled. I just only hope if I was ever in the situations that you've been in that I could do the same. And I'm not that confident that I could. I'm very impressed.
You'll be all right.
I'm very impressed with your family life. And, we'll do this again sometime. We're gonna get you on a hunt soon.
Sounds good.
Not sure where, but we're booking hunts right now. So you people out there, take a look at us. Show us your support. Thank you, the G2 Ranch. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, and God bless and have a great day.
God bless.